internet. My name is Ren. This is Ren Rants, a channel where I rant about everything that I care about, from pop culture to politics. In this video, we're going to talk about the 2018 anime directed by Taichi Ishidate, Violet Evergarden. This anime was adapted by Reiko Yoshida from a series of light novels written by Kana Akatsuki, and I have to say that this is the best anime I've seen in quite some time. I think it's the most consistent anime in terms of just quality from start to finish that I've seen in quite some time. And I do consider myself much more of a casual anime fan. Obviously, I haven't really reviewed any other anime on this channel. I'm much more of a sci-fi girl. As a kid, I was really into anime. Inuyasha was like my shit. Although I went back and watched it recently. It was kind of painful. That made me really sad, actually. And there have been several other anime that were like influential or really important to me throughout my life, and I definitely rewatch Studio Ghibli movies a lot. I would say I actually watch anime movies probably more than I watch anime series at this point. But I had no intention of watching Violet Evergarden. I just kind of stumbled on it yesterday, and I put on the first episode and I was just hooked. I binge watched the entire thing from start to finish. And then as soon as my boyfriend came over, I immediately made him start from the first episode, and I had no qualms about watching it again from start to finish, although I'm only halfway through the second time now. We're going to watch the rest of it tonight when I'm done with this review. And this anime just blew me away. The story is one that at first seems like it's not particularly original. The idea is that after losing both arms fighting in the war as a weapon, Violet Evergarden takes a job as an auto memories doll at the CH Postal Company in order to discover who she is outside of the war and find out what the words "I love you" mean. And you kind of think that the direction this is going to go is sort of the emotionless cool girl living weapon a la Elfen Lied, but much more of what you get is, I would say, a stronger, better written character that in many ways upends this trope and asks all the questions about it that I think weren't properly answered in previous iterations of this idea. I think it explores her as a person in a wonderful way, and every single episode, even the ones that I would consider a little bit more on the filler side of things, every single episode moves her forward as a character and moves the story forward in a meaningful way. And so while there's kind of a slow pace at times to this anime, it's still a very purposefully written story, and I think that's how it advances so well and how it just keeps you hooked from start to finish. And this anime really does have everything. It has all kinds of different tropes that it sort of plays with. It has all kinds of little stories that are somewhat self-contained, because the idea is that she's learning to be an auto memories doll, which is a person who writes letters for people who are unable to write for themselves. And so for part of the anime, each episode, the idea is she gets a request and then goes off to write a letter, and so these episodes are sort of self-contained in their own little stories where she plays a part in writing for other people, and then at the end of it we kind of get like a wrap-up that sort of tells people how they feel about Violet and also advances Violet's story further as well. And the way they do this is very smart. They sort of hide the gems of character development even within the filler, and it's just great. It really is. It's a great story. It's a beautiful to look at anime. It's absolutely stunning. It has a lot of really warm, textured scenes that draw you in and contrast really well with the darker, more gritty scenes in other parts of the anime. It's a very polished, finished style. Everything flows beautifully. The colors are so vivid. It just is a treat to look at. This anime is a work of art in every sense of the word. It is gorgeous. And I haven't enjoyed watching an anime this much in so long, and that's not a diss on anime. I'm just usually drawn more to other genres, but this story is just so well told. And I find it really interesting because actually my biggest comparison in terms of a character to this story would probably be Seven of Nine's arc in Star Trek Voyager, because it's a very similar kind of story where you have these two characters who are sort of isolated and raised outside of conditions in which they would have normal interactions with other people that would have them develop any kind of emotional intelligence. And so you get to see these characters try to figure out how to be a person. And seeing Violet learn how to become a person is just such a rewarding experience. You just feel like you've gotten to know her so well, and the end of the story is just so satisfying. It really ties it up in a neat little bow. I think that the climax is just what the story needs, in that it is set up in little kernels here and there throughout the whole story. From the beginning, it's set up so that when you actually get to the climax, it doesn't feel contrived, it makes perfect sense, and it's just a satisfying end to the story. Sure, there are some cheesy moments here and there, but I just found myself really, really enjoying every minute of this show. It was a treat to watch. I think that the writing shines most in the later half of the anime. I'd say the best episodes were 7, 8, 10, and 11. And I'll probably do a video on the best episodes of Violet Evergarden because those episodes were just so good. Like, the anime in general is very, very high quality, but I think that those episodes in particular really shine and do everything that they can to make the most of all of the amazing parts of this story. I'd say the most fillery, least interesting episodes were episodes 4 and 5. In episode 4, we go home with another Auto Memories doll. Her name is Iris, and she's just kind of the worst. I just found her incredibly unlikable, and her story was totally boring, and it kind of took me out of the whole rest of the anime. But there was still some really good character development for Violet in this story. So again, even when it's more of kind of a weaker storyline that doesn't work as well, there is still a lot in it that does work, and it's still consequential to the plot, so you don't feel like you've completely wasted your time on filler and nonsense, which I think a lot of longer anime fall prey to. It's not such an epidemic in the shorter anime, although they do also have this problem. Yeah, this anime, it's something really special. I think that if you have a chance to watch it, you absolutely should. It's on Netflix. It is totally bingeable. I, again, watched the entire thing in a day, and I wanted to do it twice, but then we fell asleep. The aesthetic of this anime is really interesting, though, I must add. It's got this kind of weird steampunk-adjacent Western European fanboy kind of look to it, where a lot of animes tend to borrow from that Western European aesthetic in an interesting way, where they create kind of an alternate version of Europe that has a lot of little trappings of Japanese culture in it as well. And I found that kind of interesting with the overall conceit of the story. But I think the steampunk-ish aesthetic works really well, especially with Violet's arms, which the details of them are gorgeous. There are some shots where she's typing or where you see her hands up close that are just kind of breathtaking, and it's a very moving anime. Even in the more quiet moments, it really makes you feel a lot of things. So that is my review of Violet Evergarden. I think you absolutely should watch this anime. If you are a fan of anime, you will love it. If you are not a fan of anime, you might still love it. I haven't enjoyed an anime this much in such a long time, and I feel like everyone needs to watch this anime, because I don't think there's really anyone who could watch all the way through this and not enjoy some part of this story. Let me know what you think of Violet Evergarden in the comments section down below. If you haven't seen it, let me know what your favorite anime is. If you like my videos, subscribe. If you don't, I'm sure you will tell me. See you next time. Wiedersehen.